Hey y'all, so it's been a minute since I did a YouTube video. I'm doing one today. I want to be talking about the message God had gave me a few weeks ago saying that I was the gap in between my bloodline and just explain what that meant. And if this resonates, you'll know exactly where I'm coming from because you'll already have seen signs in your own bloodline. So I always reflect and I'm always asking God for guidance first and foremost because without guidance, it's impossible to get ahead in life. And I do not have elders in my physical presence, whereas though I can go to guidance. So I go to God for everything to help me because if I do not know my history, I don't know my past, I don't even know what came up against my bloodline in the past, I'm not going to know how to be able to handle things in the future. I'm not going to know how to be able to prepare my children for the future because if things are hitting me, I have to be able to correct it or it will hit my children, right? So I was in prayer and just meditating, and the Holy Spirit was just giving me revelation on everything. And He was telling me that prior to me, people in my bloodline had strayed away. People were connected to God, they believed in Him, but they did not have relations with Him. You can believe in Jesus all day long. But if you do not have a relationship with him, you don't have a connection with him, he is not your go-to person. You guys do not have a relationship, you just believe in him. And believing in relationship is two different things. People have the assumption that when they believe in Jesus, that is enough, right? They don't have to really work for the relationship, they don't have to get to know him, they don't have to build a bond with him, but they just feel like, oh well, I believe in God, right? And then when they hit tough times, they automatically expect him to come through. And Jesus is not a genie. Although he has all power, he's not going to move mountains for you if you have not put yourself in a position to get to know him. And I'm speaking on my bloodline. That has been a pattern. There's people who have been connected to him and straight away. There's people who felt like they were so deep in sin that God would not love them, and they turned their back on God. Whereas though when I came into the picture, I knew Christ at a young age. He introduced himself to me at a very young age, and I did not have to go to church to know him. I did not have to read a Bible to know him. My grandparents did not have to teach me about him for me to know who he was. He introduced himself to me at a very young age, and that connection had always been there. Over the years of me growing up, I've always believed in Jesus, of course. I've always had a connection with him, but I did not always have a relationship with him. It wasn't until I hit probably my early 20s is when I really started to devote my life to Christ and to try to live Christ-like, to try to live the right way and to stop doing things my own way. I was very stubborn. I was very hurt and broken when I was younger. And I noticed that when I did not have a relationship with God, my trials and tribulations were just 10 times more than what it would have been had I would have had a connection with him. We are going to be tested whether we're walking with Christ or whether we're not walking with Christ. That's just life. There's not going to be a situation where you're going to come into this world and everything's going to be given to you. You're going to have a perfect life. Like, that's just not reality. But what I will say is that the more you are connected to Christ, the better your chances are in terms of your trials and tribulations. He will soften your pain. He will make the pain worth it, if that makes sense. Like, there's nothing that you're going to go through in vain. There's nothing that he's going to put you through that's going to be pointless. You know what I mean? Anything that happened to you, good or bad, God approved it. The devil cannot do anything to you without God allowing it. He has to go to God to get permission to do anything. And the only way God is going to approve it is if there's a reason. If God allowed you to go through something, it was for a reason. And when you are connected to him, not only will he soften your pain, but he will also give you insight as to why things happened the way it did. And to circle back to initially what I was saying in the beginning of the video, that was like the basis of the conversation that me and God was having when it came to my bloodline. I was the gap. God needed someone to come into the bloodline, which was myself, that was going to be devoted to him, that was going to give him my all. I am the generational curse breaker. I was the gap. I was the person to bring God back into the bloodline. And if you resonate, you also are the person to bring God back into your bloodline. Your bloodline has strayed away from him. God sat back and bought his time because he knew that once you came into the picture, things were going to be different. He knew that you were going to do things differently with your children. You were not going to be a product of your environment. That's also another statement that he had made to me when I was talking to him. He was telling me, you were not a product of your environment. And I made a short video about this last week, and I was just saying that when I initially heard it, I just assumed like, oh, your environment, you know, where you live, where you work, where you grew up, where you went to school, you know, stuff like that. But when he was referring to environment, he was talking about my bloodline. And I just thought that was so powerful because I never looked at it like that. Like, I am not the same as everybody else in my bloodline. If you was to line of all of us up, it's like, matter of fact, the perfect example I can give you is if you line up all coins, right? And you know how all the coins are facing one direction and the penny is facing a different direction. As the black sheep of the family, as the person who was the gap for the bloodline, I consider myself like the penny. I'm doing the opposite. I'm doing everything differently, and I'm putting God first with everything. There's nothing that I do not seek God's approval for. And that does not mean that I still do not mess up. I still do not make wrong decisions because I am human. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm literally bound to sin in this world. But my goal is to always realize when I am doing something in sin and to repent and to pray and to ask for guidance. That's literally like the message. I go to God when you are by yourself. You feel like you have no guidance. Like, I do not have a mom to help me. I do not have a father to help me. My father is now deceased, but even when he was here, my father was not here to help me. My mother is here physically, but mentally, she's not here. And this is something that I have dealt with all my life, and I am continually to deal with it. And what I will say is, if you do not have guidance from God, not guidance from man, guidance from God, you're not going to be able to handle the load, especially when you have children behind you, because you're going to be so heartbroken and stuck in your trauma and your pain from the things that you went through. You're not going to be able to do the opposite for your children. And the whole purpose for you, the sacrifice of your family, the one who was the gap for your bloodline, you are going to be faced with heavy trials and tribulations. It's no way around that. The whole purpose is for you to break the curses, and so that your children do not have to go through the same pattern. Your children will be a different product of their environment versus how you were a different product of your environment. You get what I'm saying? So it's very important for us to lean on God for understanding, for knowledge, for wisdom, especially when you feel like you are alone, because this journey, it can be very lonely, and you're not going to have many people to go to besides him. There's not going to be anybody to be able to give you the answers. The only person who can give you the correct answers is going to be the Lord himself. He will have to reveal it to you. And that does not take away from how you still may love your family that you came from. Your life looks a lot different when God comes into the picture, and people do not understand that. People are going to be so puzzled because even though you went through what you went through, you're going to have such a strong sense of peace over your life. It's almost going to look like everything that you're saying is not true, because God is going to give you a peace that surpasses all understanding. No matter what you have been through, you are not going to look like it. And that right there is a true testament of God. So, like I said, I just wanted to make this video talking about the message God had gave me before. If you are the black sheep of your family, you was the gap that God has been waiting for. You were the one to bring God back into the bloodline, and you are going to be the one that is going to do everything differently, and you're going to see it manifest through your children. You're going to see all your hard work start to pay off through your children. When your children are literally living out the dreams that you were not able to do, that's going to be your sign that God is really working in you. He's turning things around. And when you look at the family you created versus the family you came from, you will clearly be able to see the work of God, not only on your life, but everybody else's life who came after you.